Hi, you guys. Welcome to my channel, Life Lessons Learned. And first of all, I'd like to say for those of you who have not reviewed my previous video, it's entitled Parenting that Controversial Parenting Advice That Worked. You may want to see that video first. For the rest of you, you know that I taught parenting classes at a major university in Michigan. This was years ago, so I want to say that. And in that last video, I talked about what I would go over in this video. And again, these are all, you know, things that occurred to me in my life. With life lessons learned is a way for all of us to move forward and applying the lessons that we've learned, and so that we can move forward in a positive ways in our lives. So this particular video is going to have some very difficult subject matter. So if you've ever been close to someone that you've lost and that might be challenging for you, you may want to just skip this particular video because we will be going over an instance where one of my students, well, we'll get into the entire story here. So, as you know, my students were actually grown people. So, they were people that were taking my parenting classes. And some of them were taking it voluntarily, and some were court ordered to take the classes. And this guy was court ordered to take our class. And as the story unfolds, you'll probably begin to understand why he was court ordered to take them. And it didn't matter to me whether parents were taking the classes voluntarily or if they were court ordered to do so, as long as they were willing to come in and apply the suggestions, tips, techniques that we shared with them, and they were able to, participate in the class, ask questions, and complete their. We don't. I never call them homework assignments. I call them self work because really it's work that we're doing to change our thought patterns, our behavior patterns, the way we communicate and interact with their children, and move forward in life. Well, this particular parent, from the outset, I could tell was experiencing more challenges than the other parents in the class, and by that I was able to key in on his body language, the way he shifted in his seat, the way he would, you know, wait to after class and ask to speak with me. And a lot of the times, he didn't participate during the classroom like other parents would, raise their hand, ask questions, give other tips and ideas that worked for them. And throughout the classes that he had taken, he was there, but he never contributed verbally while the parents, while the class was in session. So, in other words, he would always wait until after class and then ask to speak with me, which is fine. Not everyone is going to be a talkative Tom or be willing to share everything that they're going through, especially many of the court ordered parents, because all of the records, of course, are confidential. So I had no idea as to why they were ordered by the court to take the class. The only thing we knew was that the parents at some point were either at threat of having their children removed from the household, or they had already been removed, and the taking the classes was a way for the parents to um, show the court that they were willing to try, parenting classes and implementing techniques and positive communication skills for their kids. So all of that makes sense to me. Now, when I tell you that I could sense that there was something different with this parent, he always seemed to be, I don't know how to say it, but like agitated when he's talking to me, and very, what is, I don't want to use the word paranoid because I'm not a psychologist, but he was always kind of darting back and forth and looking to see if someone was listening to what it was he was sharing with me, which is strange, okay? So one particular night, he was talking to me about he had two kids with his ex-wife, so he was no longer married, and the wife had been given custody of the children. Again, as the story goes on, you'll be able to see why. But I talked with him after class, and I was loading my stuff up in the trunk of my car, and he came out to the parking lot. And by this time, all the other parents and everyone's gone, and I'm like, okay, now I'm with this guy. What's going on? And he came up to me and he said, I have something I want to share with you. He said, it may sound strange at first, but just bear with me. So I'm thinking, okay. Now, at this particular time, long before I had started doing parenting classes, I had written my first book, and it was called Choices: The Power Is Within You. So, unbeknownst to me, this parent had purchased that book. And I don't know how long ago he had purchased it. I think it was recent because as the story goes on, you'll see. So, he said, I bought your book, Choices. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. I mean, that's nice. And he said, and there's a lot in there that lets me know that you and we're soulmates. Okay. Um, please tell me more. I didn't say that, but I was like, what gives you that impression? And then he was a lot into numerology or numbers. So he said, well, your name, Sherry, has 6 letters. I'm like, okay. And then I'm counting to see if my name had 6 letters. Duh. And then he says, what month were you born in? So I'm like, I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I said June. And he goes, and you were born in June. That's the 6th month. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And then well, he said that the Washington Monument is 6,666 meters or inches or however height that is. So I'm like, okay, where's this guy going with this? And I think it was the Washington Monument that he referred to, but it's one of the national icons that we have. And I guess a lot of people are saying this 6,600, well, it had to be 660, however many, it has a lot of sixes in it. Okay. I should have done my research before I started this video. So I was like, okay. And then he said his name also had, 6 letters. And then he said, and they're just going to tell you the information he gave me to let me know. I'm like, okay, I need help, someone. He said, and you're a black female and I'm a white male. And I was like, okay, those two things are obvious to anyone that can see the two of us. And he said, did you know that, and this is what he says. Again, this whole story seems unbelievable. But he said, if you were to look down from space at planet Earth, okay, you would see that Earth is on the right hand side of God. I'm using my left hand, but this is my right hand. It's on the right hand side of God. So I'm thinking, first of all, we would have to know where God is at. I mean, isn't he everywhere? Can't be on all hands of his. But I'm like, okay, so what are we getting? I mean, what's your point here? So he said, there were some things in your book that really helped me begin to communicate with my daughter more. He said, and so I insisted that she reads your book. Now, Choices, the Power is Within You is kid friendly. So it just talks about, using your own inner power and beginning to know your worth and your self worth and making sure other people understand what's acceptable to you and what's not. So I was like, okay. Okay, and then he said, and then he said one of the pages, not guys, this was years ago, so he gave me a page number that he said his daughter was really excited about, and that let him know that I'm supposed to be with him and his daughter. Now, I can tell you, the minute he started talking your name has 6 letters, my name has 6 letters, we're on the right hand side of God, and the monument is 666 feet or 6,066 meters or inches or whatever the hell it is. I already knew that the parenting classes was not the only help that he needed. Okay, so I just wanted to say that up front. So I kind of was thinking of ways to not like just leave him standing there in the parking lot, but just to kind of reassure him that he's on the right path, that, taking the parenting classes would definitely help him communicate, with his daughter and his son, better than he had in the past, and I kind of thanked him for that. And he seemed really surprised that I was like, okay, I'm going to get in my car and drive away now. And so but he, seemed to come back to himself. And he was like, oh, okay, I'm so glad you took this time to, to talk to me. And I said, okay, that's what we do. I'm not going to not talk to you. So 2 days later, this guy calls me at the school because remember I'm teaching parenting classes. So he called me and he sounded very frantic. And he was like, Miss Brantley, it's important that I meet with you. So I'm like, well, yeah, the class, will be next week. I can see you then. He said, no, I have to see you before then. There's something going on that you need to know. Now, my first thought was, okay, I remember what happened in the parking lot and the way this guy was off on a tangent. And I was like, but I didn't know whether, really what to say. So I was like, well, what do you want to do? And because he had said he need to meet before the next class, which it's not like our classes are emergency classes where we can give you emergency advice. So I'm like, what is it that it can't wait? And he said, well, I can't tell you over the phone. That should have been red flag number one. Okay. The FBI is not listening to my calls that I know of. This was years ago, so they definitely weren't listening back. Well, like I said, I didn't think they would be. Well, they wouldn't be. Uh, the guy got me paranoid now. But so knowing how he had talked before and everything, I told him that I can meet him at a restaurant because you know me, I'm going to meet people in public places. It's going to be broad daylight. It's going to be lots of maybe not security, but other folks around. So I gave him a time and a place to meet with me. And at this time, I was dating a doctor. He was a chiropractor. So I mentioned to him, I was like, this guy called and he said he wanted to meet me one on one and he had to do it before the class. And he said, maybe I should come with you. And I'm thinking, no, I'll just meet with him and, hear what he has to say and kind of calm him down, that kind of thing. Now, you have to keep in mind, again, these parents that are court ordered, we don't know why they're court ordered. We don't have their history or their mental information or any of that. They're in our classes and we interact with them on that level. Hold on one second here. Just wasted that on me. Hold on. Anyway, so I gave him this, restaurant that's in a like a mini mall. Gave him the time and everything, and he said he would be there on time. And he pretty much was. He was probably only 5 to 7 minutes late, but could have been parking issues, whatever. You guys, when this guy gets there, he is looking disheveled, hair not combed, clothes were wrinkled, shirt was not buttoned up properly. You know how you have a button up here, and that's how he was. That's how he was. And when he first came into the restaurant, of course, he's looking around for me, and I was like, "Oh no, what the hell?" So I kind of raised my hand, and he spotted me. He came over to sit down, and he had these like notebooks and journals of, to me, what seemed like illegible writings, but of course, he was able to open it up and decipher whatever the hell it was he was trying to share with me. So he said, I had to meet with you because they're trying to keep us, they, again, us apart. He said, so I needed to share this information with you, and you'll see how it correlates with your choices, the powers within you book. You guys, my choices book, as I said before, it's not about numerology or any of the stuff he was talking about. So, um, but I have to say this because I had never actually witnessed this in my entire life up to that point, and have never witnessed it again except in TVs and movies. So I had no recourse or anything to relate to with this. But as this guy is talking, he's foaming at the mouth. Like stuff is in the corners of his mouth. And it's white, and it's like, did he take a pill or something before he came in here and he's, gurgling back up or what? And there was a foul odor, of course, coming from that. So it's like, so I said to him, "Are you okay?" And he says, he sat back and he goes, "I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I'm crazy, aren't you?" Crazy is not a term I use to describe someone that is that, especially when I'm sitting with them in a public place. So I said, "No." I said, "Why did you say that?" And he said, "If you think I'm crazy, let me call my psychiatrist right now and I'll give them permission to give you all of my records." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, okay." So now I know not only will I request that this guy no longer be in our class, because no judgment, no hatred, no any of that against him, but I knew there's nothing that he would be able to. He needed other help before he can actually be in parenting classes. Now I'm sure some judge somewhere thought, maybe this guy just needs to get on the right track and the parenting classes will help them. And maybe the judges don't have their mental records or something, but whoever's assigned them to our class could not have known the level that this level of, I don't want to use the word derangement because I don't know what his experiences were or what led him to believe what he believed. So I said, "No, I'm not authorized to get your mental health records." And he said, "Yes, you are. If I ask them to give them to you." And I was like, "No, it doesn't work like that." So I said to him, "The class is in another 4 days." I said, "Take your writings and your notes and everything. You can continue to go through them. And then if when you're ready to go over more information with me, we can take a look at it at that point." Because I'm thinking to myself, I can't wait to get back to the university and have my supervisor, let her make the moves to make sure he's no longer, that he needs to really be in a facility that can assist him. Well, remember how I said the class was going to be 4 days later? That time frame did not work for him because in 2 days, so 2 days from the date that I met with him in a restaurant, he had taken upon himself to break into his ex-wife's house, and he went through his daughter's bedroom. So this is how you'll find out how they found out who did what they did. But he went through his daughter's bedroom window. She happened to wake up because she heard the noise and someone's coming through the window, and she recognized it was her dad. And she said, "Dad, what are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, just go back to sleep." He said, "I'm here to see your mom." And so she was like, "Why are you coming in through the window?" And he said, of course, the front door was locked. Well, he didn't live there. So yes, it was locked to him. So the girl, because it's her dad, and she's only 10, and she's not, she's half asleep, she went back to sleep. And the next day, looking for her mom, but she couldn't find her. So she calls the cops, and the cops searched the house. The mother had been killed, and she was at the bottom of the basement stairs. So, of course, the girl didn't think to look in the basement for her mom. She's thinking maybe she went out, or maybe her and her dad had gone out. So, um, I get a call from the authorities because, the girl told the cops that, because there was no forced entry, of course, because he went through the bedroom window, went out through the bedroom window. So the front door was still locked. But when they talked to the girl, she said, "Yeah, my dad came to visit with her. He told me he was going to talk to her." So they were able, of course, to get him and apprehend him. And then about 2 days after that, everything was in the newspaper. And when I saw my student's face on the page of that front page of our newspaper and what had happened, well, first of all, I felt really bad because I mean, that's what we do, right? I felt that I hadn't stressed to my supervisor and enough that there was, I mean, I couldn't tell her he was foaming at the mouth. How do you say that to someone? I was like, he was speaking erratically. He wasn't making sense. He seemed paranoid. I mean, these are just things that I had picked up on. And so I was like, she's going to think I'm crazy, or getting too involved or something. So I don't think that I conveyed to her. But even if we had done that, what could they have done? At that point, he hadn't done anything yet. We had no idea if he was planning on doing anything. And even if someone's planning on it until they do it, you guys know the story. But still, I just couldn't believe that whole thing. And so that's what happened with that particular story. And of course, I got a call from the authorities because they saw that he was taking parenting classes. So they wanted to interview me to see what kind of conversations we had had, what was it that I observed, and what had I done after I met him at that restaurant. And so, um, if you guys know me, everything that I do, I put in writing. So when I met with my supervisor, I'd have to, of course, do a report as to why I wanted. I don't want to really want to say remove him from the class, but why I didn't think the class was the best fit for him. So all of that was in writing, and it was in writing, of course, prior to the event that he decided to go and do. So that was a definitely different kind of parenting class student experiment experience. And it's just, and I kept that newspaper clipping, so I actually have it. I laminated it and everything, just as a reminder of we never know who we may be dealing with or what kind of issues or challenges people may be dealing with themselves. Um, and we always say, "What if I had said this?" or "What if I had done that?" But we can what if ourselves to death. But we're not responsible for what other people decide choose to do. But that was just a hard one for me. So this is life lessons learned. I don't even know what to tell you what the lesson would have been for me in this one, except, as I said, I did note, um, his behavior and everything. And my thing was to not just keep myself safe, but to remove him from the class because I don't, to keep the other students safe and protect them. And really, like I said, you could tell he needed more help than what a court ordered parenting class would give him. He was already more far gone than any of us could have ever done anything with. So again, this is Life Lessons Learned. My name is Sherry Brantley. My books are available at Amazon.com, and my website is sherrybrantley.com. If you want to check out all of the different types of books I've written, and think I do have some videos of me on that website as well, of talking about different things. So please like, share, and comment. Tell me what you would have done in that situation if you were the instructor, what you observed, and if you would have done anything differently that could have led to a different outcome. And that's kind of stupid to say. I mean, we can't control what this guy who was not in his right mind, I can tell you that, had done. So, as you know, my mantra is knowledge is in the knowing, but wisdom is in the doing. And the learning of a lesson is the application of it. So, for me, I can tell you that moving forward, and I didn't have any other students that were um, that different, but I always acknowledge people's body language, if their words are matching their facial expressions, if there seems to be something else that's going on with them that they're needing to share, not in the public setting with the classroom, but probably with me one on one and things of that nature. So that one was kind of a different kind of story to tell, but this is Sherry, and I will see you guys on the next run. Thank you.